How's it going, everybody? Um, so The Bride of Frankenstein original film, 1935. The URL at IMDb, you can't really see it maybe on my computer, my Macuter. It's very small. What is it? 75 minutes, hour and 15 minutes. Of course, this is all about the film The Bride coming out with Batman Christian Bale, which represents the Antichrist, the billionaire from Gotham. Yes, they posed in a photo together at his tower during the filming of The Dark Knight Rises, where they used his tower in the movie, in the film. The movie also has Donnie Darko, Jake Gyllenhaal in it. The other film about the Antichrist, Donald Stark and Right Eye, Donnie Darko. The Dark Knight, Dark and Right Eye. Dark Knight Rises, Rises on the third day. Dark Knight Rises came out on the third day or 2 days after The Dark Knight. 7/18, Dark Knight. 7/20, Dark Knight Rises. That was the wide USA release dates for both movies. 7/18 and 7/20. 4 years apart, both on leap years. 7/18, 2008. 7/20, 2012. Can't make it out. This URL, IMDb title, The Old Frankenstein, 26, 138. 138 is Donald Trump and Sybil Gematria. 26 is the year, 2026, when The Bride film is coming out. By the way, the movie's directed, representing a female director, so representing, all that. We're not going to get into what all that is, but it's their world. And so got a female directing, so, leading the leadership role. And that's their world symbolism. And Maggie Gyllenhaal, the director, was the only person to be an actor in both Donnie Darko and The Dark Knight. Folks, people of the earth, seriously. Hey, it's 7/18, y'all, when The Dark Knight came out. Anywhoski, um, where's the bride at? Film The Bride, IMDb. I forget what that, and it's got an exclamation point at the end. It's 2 hours, 6 minutes, 26 code in the year 2026. So 308, so you got 38, which is death, and 38, which is murder, depending on which one of the four base ciphers. It's got a 511, followed by a 37. 37 is the prime number for the church. 37 divides evenly into 111 all the way through 999, which includes 666, 111, 222, 333, 444, 555, all of them. 777. Yep, 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 yep. So the symbolism is palpable, isn't it? 30, 308, 511, 37. You multiply those two together, which I'm just crazy enough to do. You got your 86, you got your 38 again. The 189. What's so weird about all that is when I run these numbers, because it's got two release dates, this Bride of Frankenstein. April 19th, San Francisco. April 20th, United States wide release. When I run that date to 227, which is a big time personal cipher, it is 33,187 days. 187, of course, 11 times 17, and the 187th prime number is 1117, which is why 187 is big time murder code in their world. So there it is. For this coming Friday, as Jesus allegedly died on a Friday, it's a high watch day for the Antichristos right eye wound event. And there's your 33,187. We just saw the 189 when I multiplied them out, and that's what it would be on the rising day of March 1st, which is a Sunday. And that would, there's other astrology symbolism that goes with that. That fits. And I don't practice astrology, but I know it and I understand it, and it's palpable also. That relates to iPet Goat. I just I don't know, this Friday would be a high watch day for sure. I'm also looking now at 320, rising on 322, Skull and Bones. I came across a very freaky numerical coincidence that yeah, I don't know. I'll probably have to share that on my other channels. And where we just get a little freaky with looking at numbers and personal ciphers and so forth, or their ciphers. But yeah, very interesting. This Bride film. This is no accident the way this thing's coming out, popping off. And let's get on with tonight's study. Daniel and 4 great beasts come up from the sea, diverse from one another. Remember, this is the Antichrist chapter, or the first version of it. Now, we did have the abomination of desolation, which would include, of course, the Antichrist. But it wasn't anything specific to the Antichrist in Daniel 2, 41 through 43. But we told you yesterday, I think it was yesterday or the day before, I don't know when we did, that we showed you about, yeah, it was yesterday's study. Yeah, because that was a big one. I got it actually pinned on top of my Facebook. And 4 great beasts came up out of the sea, diverse from one another. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked off, and it lifted up from the earth, and made stand up on a feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. And behold, another beast, a second, like a bear, and it was raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in its mouth of it between teeth of it, and they sat thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. After this I beheld, and lo, like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. So it's dominating the earth. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue of the feet, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. So this, now you're getting into your final kingdom, your 4 horses style kingdom. I guess 4 beasts, 4 horses symbolism. Remember, it's 404 verses in Revelation, so there's your 4 and your 4. Diverse from all the beasts before it, and it had 10 horns. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn. This is your Antichrist. And before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots, and behold, in this horn were eyes like a man, and a mouth speaking great things. Make America. great again, and everything that comes out of his mouth today is great. It's just it's very polarizing. It's either very extreme this or it's very extreme that. But he's not even the Antichrist yet. So the great things, this is talking about the end times. But they're already, setting the symbolism stage of the irony of it all. I beheld till the thrones were cast down in the Ancient of Days. So anytime we get into this yellow, this is God then winning. Of course, God wins in the end. Now, this is all God's plan. This is all God's script. And of course, God will win in the end. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days, which is God, did sit, whose garment was white as snow. That's where they get President Snow from the Hunger Games. The Lord is always the bad guy, or his church. That's why the Riddler is the villain of Batman, because Jesus spoke in parables, and there is a Bible verse where riddle and parable are in the same verse in the Old Testament. Because a riddle is a parable, and a parable is a riddle. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head were like pure wool. And remember, President Snow had white hair. His throne was like a fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. And if I'm not mistaken, the Hunger Games, President Snow, the Hunger Games also had that wheel of fire. Hunger Games, Wheel of Fire. Well, there's the fire right there. There's the wheel in the background, if not mistaken. There it is again. This one's called Catching Fire. So if you want to call that a wheel that's on fire, um, so be it. Hunger Games Catching Fire movie poster. So it looked like it was big time in that one. So, President Snow, the Hunger Games. There he is. The bad guy. Yada, yada, yada. Defeated by, again, the female leader. Yeah. Whack, whack, whack. All right. So, I love making those sound effects, man. There's just nothing funnier. All right, continuing on in Romans 9. As he saith also in Osee, which was an Old Testament character or prophet, if I'm not mistaken, I will call them my people, which were not my people, and her beloved, which was not beloved. And it shall come to pass, this is talking about how the Gentiles are now also God's people. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, Ye are not my people, the Gentiles, there shall be called the children of the living God, as Gentiles also are now sheep. Some Gentiles, some of the bloodline will be, then, the bloodline, the remnant, gets the call at the very end times after the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. Romans 11:25. Good Lord willing, we get to teach that in the coming weeks, as we're now at Romans 9 finishing up. Esaias also crieth concerning Israel, though the number of the children of Israel be as the sand of the sea, a remnant shall be saved. Ooh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that would be the Romans 11:25 Bible verse. Blindness in part has happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. When the very last Gentile sheep gets the call, the quickening in Christ at the abomination of desolation, then the bloodline gets quickened. At the very least, 144,000 of them. For he will finish the work and cut it short in righteousness, because a short work will the Lord make upon the earth. And as Isaiah said before, except the Lord of the Sabbath had left us a seed, we had been as Sodom and been like unto Gomorrah. What shall we say then? That the Gentiles, which follow not after righteousness, have attained to righteousness? Even the righteousness which is of faith, which is the proper call from the Holy Spirit, all the way through the proper walk, it is your salvational process. But Israel, which followed after the law of righteousness, have not attained the law of righteousness. Not yet. Wherefore, because they sought it not by faith, but as it were by the works of the law. And again, you can equate, oftentimes look at free will as works of the law, or keeping the law for salvation versus faith. Anyway, it is by grace you're saved through faith. It is not of yourselves, or it is not of the law. It is not of a free will decision. It is a gift of God, lest any man boast. And people boast, puffed up, that they are saved by making this free will decision. There's no salvation in them at that point. Wherefore, because they sought it not by faith, but as it were by the works of the law, for they stumbled at that stumbling stone. And I think the next verse is that rock of offense. But we end this column 4, and with that semicolon. And we are done. I'm glad you're here. I love you very much. Ask questions anytime. That's what I'm here for.